Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul? Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. How are you? Pick a market. Markets are closed. Hold on. They said they can't hear you. That's on my side. Should be fixed now. Try it again, Coach Paul.
I'm just acting like a mime. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. No, I was just saying that pretty heavy day across all the markets. Not a good sign, especially with not with with no big news. This was well, it was a big day across the board. How was your day?
Didn't trade a whole lot. Didn't trade a whole lot. That's kind of been a theme all week, dealing with some health stuff. Hurt my back this week, but I've been dealing with that, going to doctors, making sure, everything is all good. Doesn't really matter how much money you make if you can enjoy it with good health. So that's been my focus this week. Really, been taking a couple, scalp trades just to continue this XFA balance. But yeah, not a whole lot of trading for me. Kind of sucks. Great price action today. Really nice short. We'll talk about that in the equities. But I had some stuff to take care of. So not too much trading. How was your day, Coach?
I didn't do too much trading, but was very patient. Um, and did well. I got short the equities early, and really stopped trading after that. So
And after that move, uh, I can understand why. I can understand why. Pretty big sell off there in the Nasdaq. But welcome at the buzzer, everyone. Our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. This is our first time meeting. I'm Jay. Been a Topstep performance coach since June of 2023. Been trading for the past 14 years. That is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share some of my experience, some knowledge, and hopefully help you become a better trader.
Stuff. You are all our chat, our audience. Thank you for joining us each and every day. Let us know how you did today. Were you up on the day, down in the day? Anything that you learned from the day? Did you get short in the equities? Because that was a hell of a trade. Or even in the metals, right? There was opportunity in the metals as well. Let's take a look at the quote board. We had jobs data out this week. Initial jobless claims came in at 227,000. Forecast was 223,000. So a little bit higher than expected. Existing home sales came in at 3.91 million. Forecast was 4.15 million. We do have the president speaking in about just over an hour. He's supposed to be speaking, so watch out if you are trading slow markets tonight. We do have some Fed speakers as well, Logan and Myron. So that could potentially affect slow markets trades tonight. Anything else you got on the news, Coach Paul?
Something off the beaten path because I read Reuters. They're the best at commodity coverage.
Okay.
Record output in Ghanaian mines in gold, and that came out earlier today. Um, but I can imagine there's that the Ghana is not the only one. Anyone who has gold mines is digging and digging and putting supply as much as they can on the market.
Yeah.
Um, I, I saw that just before that gold break. I'm not saying that caused it, but the bottom line from an economic point of view on that news is, oh, Air Vice Marshal Spin X is from Ghana.
Oh, there you go.
Well, welcome. So
Welcome.
you out there digging for gold? But apparently, yeah, it's a record production, and I'd imagine every miner everywhere throughout the world is going to go full blast and bring supply onto the market. So,
There you go.
and we saw a
Some
big
selling.
move.
Saw
Yeah,
some selling. More supply. More supply could bring prices down. I think that's really it on the news. Let's take a look at the quote board. To the downside today, we had copper down 3.31%, platinum down 7.07%, and silver, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 10%, 10.6% on the day in silver. Huge move there. Talked about this one. It looks weak. We'll just do a real quick look at this. But after that 40% sell off, it's hard for this market to recover. And right back down, 10% down today. To the upside, we had natural gas up 1.42%, soybean meal up 1.55%, and wheat futures, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, up 2.75%. Wheat futures. We had this trend line, which is also the 200-day moving average pretty much. Well, the white, well, let's change this from white to whatever that color is, teal. We drew that trend line a little while ago in wheat, and we've been holding above it. Now we're back at the 200-day moving average. How many wheat traders do we have in the chat? Who's traded wheat ever? Uh, making some money trading grass.
trading grass.
Uh,
Wow, nice
to
move.
yeah, really nice move there. To talk about our big four, we had crude oil down 2.71%. S&P futures down 1.5%, gold down 3.16%, and the NASDAQ are down 1.91% to wrap up our big four. Bougainville says, yep. Is that a yep to trading wheat? Is that a yep to trading wheat? I'm curious. Could be pretty interesting there. All right, let's take a look at the NASDAQ chart on the daily. That's right. Hey, we got it. There we go, Coach Paul. We got a wheat trader.
Okay.
Hopefully you caught
Wheat
that move,
futures?
but not wheat
No,
futures. Maybe when
that
we get
keeps
back to single
making new
stocks.
highs.
Yeah. On your swing account, though. I mean, that makes sense. Wheat on a swing account makes a lot of sense. What are you seeing here, Coach Paul, on the daily and the NASDAQ?
Looking, it's starting to get some downside momentum.
Yeah.
It found it interesting. It can't get. We talked about this yesterday. We can't get above that 20-day moving average, which is just in the short term. That is not good, and we reflected it because we rejected that off the opening. So this market's it's got it starting to turn. What I'd say turn over. They had a great chance for that recovery from Thursday and Friday last week, where we had double bottom off that 200. But this is not a convincing rally, and the fact that we closed right on the lows.
Yeah.
So
Closing on the lows of the day, that 200 moving average is within a daily ATR range. So watch that for tomorrow. We'll talk about that during the opening call. CPI tomorrow. That's what it's kind of looking like, Coach Paul. We bounced off that 200 moving average. It's the first test we've had of it in a little while. But the last time we were testing the 200 moving average, the 20 and the 50 were above. The 20 was above the 50 and crossing above the 200. This bounce off the 200 reminds me of February 2025, where it was a reflexive bounce, maybe some short covering, but holding under the 20 and 50 moving averages. Tomorrow's going to be a big day in the markets. I think tomorrow's going to be a really big day with that CPI number, just where the market is technically right now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But today presented some great trade opportunities to the downside mostly. If we look at last night's open, big range day yesterday, right? We saw 400-point range, aggressive sell-off. Last night's open, Coach Paul, we didn't really get any urgency. There was somewhat of a bid, but we got right back up to the area, upper extreme of the range where we found sellers before, those 25 400s. Just there's a seller up there.
there's a seller up there, and that was yesterday's high in that area.
Mhm.
The wick was off the big number,
Yeah.
the NFP number. We have not. We went there overnight. All right, into that area. We wicked up there. pre-opening, but we'll go through that opening range here in a minute. But that, what's that white line? It
What
went
is
through it
that white
like it
line?
wasn't even there.
Like
It
like
looks
a
like
hot knife through butter. It went right through there. It was a good spot to look for a target on shorts. We were talking about that during the opening call. Uh, I don't know if I expected that flow to be that aggressive to the downside, but hey, when the market says something, that's what the market says, right? That was the what would have been the second test of that 200 moving average for the week, and yeah, just a pretty aggressive sell off. Let's just take a look at regular. We'll leave it here. The regular trading hour open here in the NASDAQ, and this is somewhat of an urgency trade. It took a little while, but big fat round number, 25,400. What is the market's response when we get up there? We didn't even get up there. We traded up near 420s pre-market, but those 400s, that's a strong rejection. Now, do you just come in and sell it here? If you keep the context of the higher time frame, where on the daily we've been rejecting up here, that could be an early short. They got rid of him. Can you guys still hear me, chat? They got him. You guys can still hear me, right? All right, Coach Paul's back.
I'm not
But
saying anything yet.
we have a decent urgency to the downside. It took a little while, and I think we did have some numbers out, some 945 numbers. Took a little while, but price left that range again. Never really gave a great signal. We never even closed a 3-minute candle outside of that range. The first candle that closed, this to me is a great signal to start to look for opportunity for an opening range breakdown. We get a close outside that range, and we just continue to sell here. Really nice trade. I actually want to bring up the S&P, and I'm gonna switch this over a practice account because I was doing a class with Coach Jack, and one of the things we hear people say a lot is that you can't sell the lows of the day, and this was another one in the S&P. Pretty clean move to the downside, right? You frame out first 3 minutes. We have that 200 moving average, right? That would be on the 30-minute chart. I'm looking at a 3-minute, but we made the adjustment. We get that urgency as well. Never a signal to really trade to the long side, in my opinion, because we never got a candle to close outside that opening range high. 6,900, Coach Paul, was a level. 68.99 actually was a full daily ATR move from the high of the day in the S&P. Now, I think coming into that, and what some people would look at it and say is, we're a full daily ATR. We've already seen a full daily ATR range. This is selling the low if you sell right here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Uh,
Go
I
ahead, coach.
have one thing I will respond to on that.
Yeah.
If you're on the right side,
Mhm.
you're short when it makes a new low.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then think
Correct.
about that. So it's a tricky question. It depends on your trading style too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Range trader selling new lows is probably not your bag. You want to sell new highs. So define that, but on if a market's trending, it's going to continue to make new lows.
Mhm.
It's not going to let you in easily. Like this is an old saw. The large trader I knew, if he put in he put in market orders because he didn't like good fills.
Didn't like
That
good
he's
fills.
like, no, this sounds crazy, right? But
Yeah.
he knew if he was buying something that had an edge, he shouldn't get filled well. It should be hard to buy. So if he got filled all of it at one price and a decent order, it's like, ah, that's information like, oh boy, that's not good. That was too easy. So with that kind of mindset, as you're breaking into new lows, I didn't- you're on the right side if you're short. I mean, then it comes back to, okay, what's your risk?
Correct.
A lot of times that question is, I don't want to take any heat.
Yeah,
And I can, yeah, but sometimes you have to take some heat.
agreed.
It's
And
just
so we were talking doing the class with Coach Jack, and the question is, can you sell the lows, right? And I think what you just said, Coach Paul, there is important. If you're selling down here, and we've talked about this, right? Establishing a short here is a difficult trade. We're so far away from volume, right? But what I'd notice here, and it really depends on the flow of the market and the expectations for your trades. We just sold off 90 points in the S&P. If I'm getting in short here and looking for 90 points, I'm doing myself a disservice, right? You have to if you're going to trade at this low, you have to accept that you are on the tail end of this move, and there might be an opportunity for you to take a piece of it, but it's not going to be another 90 points. You missed that bus already. You have to take the local out of the express, right? But what we got here, and this was a practice account. Again, I was doing a class at the time, but if anyone was in that class, you guys know how we executed this trade. And again, everything we say is for educational purposes only. But getting in short on the break of 6,900, 6,986, and I want everyone to pay attention to this volume right here, right? I'm a volume trader. The one thing you need for continuation as a momentum trader is consistent volume. You guys see how all of these volume candles are just consistently over the average and there's no drop off? That tells me that there's a clear flow in this market. And again, we get to see this in hindsight, but you really get to see it like this and it's building over time. Notice something here. All of these candles are above the average. And if you look at the structure, I'm looking at a 3-minute chart. You can look at whatever time frame. You notice how all of these candles, for the most part, maybe 90% of these candles don't take out a prior candle's high. For me, if I'm selling late into a move, that's my risk limiter. I'm going to try to find a place to get in on a breakdown. And if a candle closes above a prior candle's high, then I'm wrong. I can catch a piece of the trend to the downside, right? And we can see, I think I got in short from 96. We took it off at 89s. Again, reasonable expectations for the trade. And then one more time where we didn't close above this high, getting short again, and then taking 3 points. Now, did I catch the big move? Did I catch, the entire trend? No, but is there still opportunity to take a piece of that move? 100%. Um, get that question all the time, Coach Paul. How can I hold on to trades longer? We've talked about this. The market has to facilitate that. And could I have held the short from 90? What was it? 96? I could have. It would actually never. The first trade was actually never invalidated, but I don't know that that's going to be the case.
well, it's like what you just said. I don't know.
Right.
Can I? Yeah, you can, but that has to be decided when you get in. You have to play for that.
Hmm.
Looking at it here is, man, if I just held that, it's called resulting. You looked at the results and now you're making a judgment. It's like post decision, post result
Yeah.
judgment. So if you're playing for that extension, how can you do that? You have to plan. It has to be in your plan.
Yep.
I just because if you're going to do that, you're going to lose 70 to 80% of the time. It doesn't do this. That's why you have to determine, is it a rotation or is it trending? I'm playing for the trend consistently. That's where so it's a really good question, but I'm from my experience is you need when you got in, you have to play for that. Like I'm willing to give back and I'm willing to hold something and spend $200 to make 800.
Right.
And that's awesome. It sounds awesome. Try executing that when you get a $200 winner, $400 winner that turns back into a small loser.
Yeah.
There's a very good chance you can say, "That sucks, I'm not doing that." But that's what you're playing for if you're looking for extension trades, because what we don't see this too often.
Yeah.
But it's less than 30% of the time, so understand that you have to me, you have to be playing for that.
Right.
So for my experience in day trading, 2 to 1, turn it off and run away.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we did get it, right? We did get it. But again, look at what happens to the volume. It decreases. We start to trade under that average. We consolidate for 4 hours before we got a trend lower. So again,
Yeah.
if you're the trader that says, hey, how can I hold on to trades longer? Are you comfortable sitting in a trade that got back to your break even point 4 hours to capture another 20-ish or so points? Make that determination, you could, but I hear a lot of never sell the low of the day, never sell in the hole, and the word never there, that definitive to me takes away some opportunity potentially here. And I also think that sometimes saying never sell the low could predispose somebody to buying right at the 6,900 level. We were at a daily ATR. It's a big fat round number. The market slowed down just a little bit. Okay, I can't sell it, so I have to buy it. And now I took a loss. Why? Because it was low, so I had to buy it. Right. So identifying the flow of the market, seeing where the potential is. If this volume just died out right at 6,900, or we saw a J trade 100%, but we never got a candle close above a high, you better trade it. There is to short it, right? Maybe that's in hindsight, but and it's not always going to look like this. But when that flow is that aggressive to the downside, there is still some opportunity there. Uh, from absence
Um,
of any small pullback for continuation entries, does that make it harder or easier in your execution? I don't know that this. I mean, I did it in a practice account, so of course, you could take away. Is it harder or easier? It's super easy because it's in a practice account, right? But this is a trade I would legitimately take, right? If we look at where the volume got above the average and then VWAP from there, I don't think this is a difficult trade to execute. To be honest, I think what makes it difficult is when we look at how far we came from and assume that that has to be the amount of risk that we have to take. Right. The pattern, this downtrending pattern breaks if we get a candle close below a prior one, above a prior one. Um, but if yeah, I mean, I can understand how it makes it harder to take it, but I think once if you define that risk right away, then it makes it a little bit easier. Uh,
you notice 2 things, what's really interesting on this break. Look at the buying after that new low that you were just at, that high volume, all right?
mhm.
That held, like you said, for the most part, but that I wanna show you, that could be your buy,
Yeah,
and it closed above that for continuation, but as time went on, it didn't accept it. It stayed in that range. VWAP never left that range, price did, and it stayed under, um, the daily, or the session VWAP, but, like, going back to that, yeah, if you're not comfortable with it, don't do it.
yep,
And I actually think that if you're new to trading, it's going to be tough.
yeah, for sure. What VWAP indicator are you using? The red line is just normal VWAP. It's attached to the session. Default settings. That's just the full day. The yellow ones that you see here are anchored VWAPs. They're in the drawing tools. 5 icons down on the left side, you got anchored VWAP. These are default settings. I'm just clicking on where I'm anchoring them to is high volume, right? This one, why I anchored this one here is, again, didn't mean to do that. It is the first candle that got back above the average and started this breakdown, right? And you can see how that flow kind of held the rest of the day. Uh,
Oh, we lost your voice, coach.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the equities pretty much did the same thing today, in different areas on the higher time frame charts, right? The Dow it has been holding up the best, but back down to that 20-day moving average. The Russell, what's the low of the day? That 50 moving average. But all of the equity markets did very similar things today, and I'm curious to see. Actually, the last 2 days, all of the equities have looked the same. Tomorrow for CPI should be a very interesting day.
Well, it's interesting. We're getting this movement before CPI, so
Yep.
there's no. This is liquidation. I don't even think they're looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, what's fine interesting? If we bring up the all of them, they all moved heavily at the same time, and we don't see that too often. Either there's some movement in an opposite in the Russell or the Dow than the S&P or the NASDAQ, and there was no hesitation on all four of those indices.
Correct.
We take the what do you have there? The S&P?
This is the S&P. Yeah, they all did. I just pulled them all up. They're actually all the
Yeah.
same exact chart.
So let's look at the first 3 minute on the opening and notice where session VWAP. So let's frame out that first 3 minutes. All right. Now it took what about more than half an hour, but
This is the Dow
there
here.
was this is the Dow. So on the open, we make the high on the opening 3 minutes. We don't leave VWAP, never leaves that range, and neither does session VWAP or the anchored VWAP to the opening. I don't know what news came out or what happened. All of this all happened around the same time when we closed under session VWAP. We left that range and never returned. And there was not a big headline, was there?
Nope.
I don't remember seeing. And this is so just go through this process. If we just came in, all right, where there was on the opening, there was buying, all right, above session VWAP. So that was large buying. Look at the volume. Where did it go? It went nowhere. It stayed within that range. So then we attached that anchored VWAP, and it didn't do anything. So the thing about it from the buyer's point of view, that big buying, you had no follow through. So
Right.
either you have to liquidate or buy more to get it going higher. Well, we got that answer because that was, I mean, at that point, if you look at it, and we talk, and I'll say it again, we get fragmented information. At this point, it looks positive. And it took something, we got more information. We saw it stall. This is what I don't want to see if I'm in a plane.
Yeah.
That's stall. But key point is when we got really good information is when we closed under both the session VWAP and the anchored VWAP from the opening. I don't think I've seen that too often. So and that did
Really
it
nice.
across the board.
Yep. Very similar day across the board in the equities. Let's take a look at the metals. We had some selling in the metals as well. Uh, Pretty aggressive middle of the day. I don't know if there was news. Again, I don't know if there was a headline, but some pretty aggressive selling there. We'll take a look at gold. on the daily chart. What are you seeing here on the daily, Coach Paul?
Oh, rejection. We talked yesterday. Look at the we're starting to pick up some volume, right? We had light volume on that rally and it looked good.
Yeah.
It looked good, but we got new information and we'll go through that. Um, but that to me, that we closed under the 20 with larger range and larger volume. It's kind of rejecting this rally.
Yeah.
It's back down to the 50. And once again, even though we're getting larger volume, this volume is nowhere near where it was 2 weeks ago, a week ago. So when we talked that the peripheral traders in this are no longer involved. So to me, this is institutional. It could be funds, it could be mines, it could be producing nations, Ghana, and all of the producing just putting supply on the market where there's no reactive buying. So let's look from last night.
Go ahead here, Coach Paul. What are you seeing?
We had buying. Obviously, we opened up and we made that high on the opening. Look at session VWAP. That stays in that half hour. And one of your favorite plays, go to the halfway mark and you can't find any buying. It was sold early, right? We stay in that half hour and let's go through. That was Asia. Let's see what happened on the London Open.
It was pretty much flat the entire night. Uh,
Right,
Pretty much flat the entire night. You can see it all on lower volume, right?
right,
Asia, London really didn't do too much. We kind of held that first 30-minute candle, a couple looks outside of it, but it's
right.
all the same until that
Eight
volume comes
o'clock.
in.
What? Let's see. Yeah, but now we come to the U.S. Open or Comex Open, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. Let's frame that as an opening.
Peter, we'll get to that in just a minute. What do we expect for the Globex for the Asia session? We'll get to that towards the end. Here is a 5-minute open for gold on a 5-minute chart. Uh, Again, not a ton. The gold has been, I think, the
Look at
metals
that.
in general. We've been talking about all the lower volume that we've been seeing in the
We lost your audio.
only only when that volume started to come in did we really see a move in the metals here. The overnight session has been pretty quiet, and I think that is just the state we're going to see the metals in for a while now. Um, and to me, for the foreseeable future, right? Everyone's still having sticker shock. Marginal requirements are still up in gold and silver, so there's not as much speculation. There can't be, right? With the amount of volume that we've seen on the daily, there can't be as much speculation as there was uh, on this trend up. It's just not happening, right? It's trading lower volume. So, uh, with that being said, it's flat until it isn't.
Yeah. So each one of the major passing the deck on from starting with Asia to Europe, but it's to the United States, and still we don't. That's just it. You never know when this is going to come out. There was no big news. It was a little bit. Now what we saw was session VWAP being flat. We saw the openings at each continent around the world flat. Whatever happened, if we scroll that all the way back before this break, there's no clue as that was about to happen. So when you hear anything can happen right there, you might get lazy. I'll buy it against the 200 moving average. I'll see what happens. It should work. Okay, move one more. Looks there is nothing here that claim we would have that dramatic of a move.
Right.
If you don't have a stop in, I don't care if the gold, you're done quickly anyway. You're, it's what, but this can happen anytime and anything. The market doesn't owe you a good trade. So when you trade without a stop or out without measuring, and you're buying this, you're wiped out. And that happened that quick. On the other side, if you sold this, you didn't have a stop in. You look in that mirror. Did you make money on luck
Right.
or skill? So it's a classic example. There was maybe, I mean, it happened. Was that the 3 minute again?
This is a 3 minute, correct?
So this big break happened in what, 10 minutes basically?
Basically, yeah, and that's a 200-point drop. So the volatility is still there in the metals. A lot of people asking, hey, why can't we trade bigger size still? I can guarantee you that there are prices that got skipped on the way down in the bigger contract in gold. Um, and just because we've calmed down, on a higher time frame, we're not seeing 20% days or whatever that craziness we had. What Coach Paul was kind of just going over there is that these markets are going to be quiet until they're not. And when something like this happens, it's happening because there's an end user or producer who is executing in this market. There's not a ton of speculation going on. With all the craziness that we've seen in the metals, there are still end users and producers that need to, you know, interact with the futures markets for their business. And they're going to get the news before all of us.
There's some liquidity providers, market makers that I know the people at, and I said, no, we stopped trading gold and silver a while ago. We can't.
Right.
We're not in that business. It's too unruly. Now they trade many different markets, equities, um, treasuries. They were trading metals. There's one market maker that started where? Citadel started literally the day before the top. Was that it? I think so.
Yeah.
But
They were saying right before the top that yeah,
there's some other players who aren't just focused on metals that aren't involved and they're not getting involved anytime soon. They just
careful there.
can't. They don't want to deal with it. It's not. It's too unwieldy. And why would they? They're there to make money too. They can't do it. So what's I can see is happening. Now it's just it's 90% professional. What I mean from the industry, not like you said, not speculation, and that is a recipe for extreme volatility because you don't
Yep.
have the shock absorber of the speculator. And this is a perfect argument that speculators are good for any market. They supply liquidity. We're not seeing it in the gold.
Yep.
I mean, that
Or
they had a reach.
or in silver, and that's, again, another one, flat until it's not. And then you see that volume come in, it all happens at one time. Uh, that's could you catch on to a move when you see that volume spike? We've talked about, there are ways to identify trend. This looks just like that equity chart, right? Where once the volume started to get back above that average, there was an opportunity there. But if I'm trading the metals, it has to look like this. There's no way I'm sitting in chop in the metals and saying, "Oh yeah, this is a good level. I'm going to buy it or sell it here." These markets are not doing anything until they're doing everything. And I don't want to get caught on the wrong side of a move like this, right? So trading the metals right now, it is possible, but I think for me, especially with that lower volume, we've seen the lower volume on the daily. There's nobody trading here until there is, right? And if you wait until there is, it's what I do with crude oil, right? And we're gonna move over to crude now. Crude oil is very similar. it's quiet until it's not. And then when that volume starts to pick up, it's like, oh, something's happening in crude, and all of the money that interacts with crude oil, they're moving too. Let's go move with them. Um, and I think that's how we have to trade. Honestly, I think that's why I look at volume. You have to trade all the markets. Volume is literally money moving around.
Yeah,
It like, and if
it's
we're doing
true.
this for the opportunity to make money,
Well,
you
there's
go
what
where the money's moving.
no one's doing that. No one's doing this. I can't, except for nefarious purposes, and that's a lot smaller. But I mean, we're here to make money.
Right. Gotta go
Um,
where the money's moving. Gotta go where the money's moving. Crude oil is one of those places. Crude oil is a decent trade on the daily. What are you seeing here on the daily?
wow, back to the 20-day moving average. We've been It's been some great trade. um, we're in that sideways pattern, but still holding the 200-day moving average. Um, but we had, I get this feeling something's going on behind the scenes because we saw a lot of this. We saw a lot of selling, and again, there wasn't big news in the crude.
Right.
So still positive above the 20-day. Um, so let's go to the short term. Let's look at that half hour. Again, Asian session, no volume, no price movement. Let's look at, was it 3 o'clock Eastern or
This
four
is
o'clock
when that
Eastern?
volume started to pick up is 4 Eastern right here.
So London Open. Let's frame that up.
London Open, which is 3 a.m. Eastern, I believe still. Clocks haven't changed. That's the London Open there. Really didn't start moving until an hour into the session.
All right. Now, look at the volume. What did it do? I mean, once again, I don't know what the volume comes in. We'll look at, and we're gonna get, we have selling, light buying that fails. Now, whatever, I think it was 3 o'clock Central Time was where I started looking at
Yeah,
on the half
that's
an
when it
hour.
started. That's when it started going.
Yeah. Okay, I've been finding that's where the real moves start coming. So, looking at the half hour and looking at the all night move, what happened here? We got under. We had the biggest selling of the night. This isn't stops. This isn't entities that selling it under VWAP, session VWAP. And look at now we start looking at VWAP. I know this. I'm no longer looking to buy it off the 200.
Yeah,
I need more information, and as it went on, we got more information. What was VWAP doing? It was ticking down. Look what happened when we got to session VWAP. One,
ton
two,
of
three.
rejection.
Yeah. Not only rejections, fresh selling, right?
Right.
So I found that interesting that coming into the US, the COMEX open, 8 o'clock Central. And look at that. Was it? I mean, it was very slow, but it did. There was nothing there to change the direction or change the trajectory of this market.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we rejected and found fresh selling. So right to the bottom of this channel we've been in.
For sure. Really nice move there in crude oil as well. High trade says gold has been ridiculous lately. I mean, look at gold. Gold hasn't done anything for 4 days, and then it does everything
In 10 minutes.
in 10 minutes. Right? This is a 10-minute move. Um, I would stay out of this. I would stay out of this. There's nobody trading it. Equities are still presenting decent opportunity. Even the last couple of days in the equities haven't really been great. I see a bunch of people on Twitter saying, the Nasdaq is dead now. There's just not. I think the overall markets after everything that happened with the metals, I think there's just a lot of maybe some downstream effect everywhere else, right? Where maybe there's a lot of adjustments going on right now, but there isn't there. Someone tell me one market that's clearly trending on a higher time frame right now. Currencies, maybe. This is Australian dollar.
Currencies,
Currencies,
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin trending down, right? This is in a downtrend, but for all the major markets that we all trade,
Yeah.
in the last week and a half, where's there one that's clearly trending? And it's Bitcoin. And then not to say that there is an opportunity, right? Because we just talked about the S&P and the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ had a 450-point range day today. 2 years ago, we would have been talking about, man, this was like the greatest trend day ever. It's in a range now. I see somebody saying the yen. The RTY still has technicals. Yeah, I mean, from a trending perspective, this is still trying, but even then, there's a lot of overlap, right? Even in the Russell, it looks better than the S&P and the Nasdaq for sure. The Dow outside of today was maybe one of those examples, right? Making new all-time highs. But if you're looking for trending opportunity, and you might not be, it's not in the major markets that everyone trades right now. And I think this week has something to do with this. Last week has something to do with that. Market isn't dead. People got used to seeing the crazy, stupid P&L swings from silver, and the Nasdaq seems calm now. That could be it too, right? But I mean, look at the Nasdaq. We've been talking about the same prices since October. I don't know if it's not dead. It's just not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. Take a look at the Japanese yen. That was in a nice trend. We got 4 days up here, near the upper extreme of this range here. Could be interesting. Can we look at Bitcoin? Let's take a look at Bitcoin. What are we seeing here, Coach Paul?
Um, Look at that. Well, first of all, we had that huge selling with the gold on that selling Friday, right? We bounced. We're still in that range towards the bottom, but we looked at this before. This selling, that's dramatic selling. It's either going to be exhaustive or continuation. When we're staying in that candle, and boy, that's an engulfing candle, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Sometimes high volume
High
means
to low.
continuation.
Yeah. So there's a trend. We had a bounce, a dead cat bounce by definition. We and that's not holding. That's still very negative. I,
Yeah. 30-minute chart. What is that white line? Has been a nice place to sell micro Bitcoin almost every day this week. Who said it? Pie Trades in the chat gave me the shout out for the 200 moving average. I got to give Coach Paul the shout out for it. I use it in my trading all the time. But man, if that is not a great place to find an opportunity to sell micro Bitcoin this week, I don't know what is. We literally rejected there every single day this week. And looking at this chart, we clearly don't get bullish until we find some buying above that 69,000 level. It's just not happening right now.
yeah, we're
So
we're talking session VWAP above that level,
correct.
not just price. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it
Not just,
looked like it was going to go.
price wise, it did. Priced above, did not
Yeah,
trade volume above. Price wise, it looked like it had a chance. And maybe you found an opportunity to buy this, but if you're ignoring that area of rejection, I mean, even if you don't have the 200 moving average on there, you can kind of see that this market is just in a little bit of a downtrend. Continuing that downtrend. Any other markets, Coach Paul, you want to talk about? Anything on your scouting report? Anything that's grabbing your
You know
interest right
what?
now.
Let's look at the, we haven't talked about it, and I'm not trading, but just take a look at the 10-year on a daily. We had a little breakout of that range we've been in. We spent look at how many days down. It seems like this market is long term finding a balance. If we
Mhm.
look at a weekly, I mean, it's not moving. Look at that weekly. That trend line on that, if we can break that, we could have well, just that short term. Yeah, from there, we're sitting on it now. It's a big point. We're if we put a line chart and squeeze this down, if you can see it, what's it doing? It's finding balance here. This isn't if look at the ATR.
Yeah, it's just dying.
It's dying. So we go from with a line chart, we can see how long have we been going sideways for years now. 2 years.
Yeah.
So and this is a weekly chart, and it's not going to happen on the opening tonight. But we're getting it. See, all these different time frames are starting to what? Compress.
Yep.
This is over a long term. I don't know. One of the surprises is we could see rates go down and notes rally. Um, and why would that be? I don't. I could give you five different excuses, but I'm not getting in a predictive mode. I'm just in this mode right here. We have a potential to change a longer term trend. We haven't yet, but that we're starting to see it. This trend line is going to be important going forward. So I haven't traded in a long time, but it's on my radar.
Yo, thank you for that, Coach Paul. The 10-year note ZN futures. Take a look at those. Take a look. I think that's it. I think that's it. We went through the major ones again. Remember, everybody, CPI is tomorrow. You do not have to try to guess what the market is going to do on that CPI print, and let the dust settle. Uh, I don't know when the last CPI print was, but same approach. Same approach, right? Frame out the news candle. Wait and see how the market responds to it. That's going to be my approach. If you want to hold a position into it, know where your risk is and understand the risks of doing that with potential extreme illiquidity in the markets. But uh, I would assume that that CPI candle is going to give us some opportunity. I'll be on opening call tomorrow when it prints, and then we'll assess from there if there's any trade opportunities. I'll keep my account active for that. But anything else, Coach Paul, you want to say before we head out of here?
Yeah. Plan your trade your plan. Bring consistency to your decision making, and that is the bottom line of good trading.
Some stuff. I think that's it. I think that's it. We got coaches doing classes in Discord. Coach Hoop is doing his class at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Then we have Coach Ray and Coach Vince, 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern time. Coach Dakota tonight with slow markets at 8:30. We got Aaron with the London trade tomorrow morning at 2:30, and no Euro trade with D because tomorrow is Friday. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. We appreciate you all being here. I see Faye in the chat says, like tax paid with pleasure. Thank you for being here, Faye. Thank you all for being here as always. If you didn't know, there was a little bit of a thank you for the 200,000 subscriber mark that we hit. The promo code is climb higher. It feels weird even saying, hey, here's my promo code. I feel like a real affiliate. The promo code is climb higher for a 30% discount for a combine. If you were looking to pay for a new one or looking to get into a new combine, you can use it up to 5 times. Climb higher is that promo code. And shout out to all of you for continuing to help us build this community. Could not do these shows without you. We will see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday, Capital Preservation Friday, CPI Friday. Don't do anything crazy. Don't do anything Coach Paul wouldn't do. we'll see you all tomorrow.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.